Welcome. My name is Kathy Beveridge. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of Bucks County, I would like to welcome you to this interview with Rick Haring, candidate for Region 6 School Director for the Central Bucks School District. The League is a nonprofit, nonpartisan volunteer organization dedicated to empowering voters and defending democracy. We want all voters to cast an informed vote in every election, and these interviews, as well as our online voters guide, vote411.org, give voters a chance to learn where candidates stand on the issues. We have invited all candidates running for school director in the Central Bucks School District to participate in these interviews as a service to the voters of Bucks County. These interviews are unedited, and candidates were provided with the questions in advance. All candidates are being asked the same 6 questions and will be given 90 seconds to reply to each. Welcome, Rick.
Thanks, Kathy.
The first question is, why do you want to be a school board director and what are your qualifications?
Great, thanks for the question. For me, it's kind of personal. My childhood growing up was not the best. I was raised by a single mom, and my father was an alcoholic who wasn't around much. So school for me wasn't just a place for education and intellectual curiosity, but it helped fill a gap. And I really wish that kids were getting the support they need at home, whether it's 3 meals a day or a good bed to sleep in or a safe place to go home to. But and I hope we can all agree that that's ideal. But the thing is, that schools need to be there for the kids when they're not getting that at home. They need to fill a gap. And for a lot of kids, school is maybe the only place they feel safe and nurtured and understood. And that's what our schools in CB have done well. And that's why we're great, until we started creating some policies that disrupt how, teachers operate and send messages to teachers and support staff that they're no longer trusted or capable of doing their job. So I'm a marketing executive with significant experience running high performing teams for large organizations. And my goal is to leverage that experience to help get us back on track, get us out of the news for questionable policies, and instead get us back in the news for our excellence and reputation that we've established.
Okay. What are the 3 most pressing issues for the Central Bucks School District?
So for me, I think the 3 biggest issues is 1, reckless spending. I think the board has spent close to about $150,000 on a PR agency to really address public outcry, and spent well over $1 million on politically connected law firm to defend actions on bad policy decisions. And that money could have been spent on students. And so the second thing, I think, are policies being created to push political agenda versus really to improve students' experience. The reality of it is that when you take something like some of the book challenges that have been talked about in the district, there were measures already in place to ensure if a parent didn't want their child to read a book in our library, then it wouldn't happen. And I think lastly, for me, number 3 is our teacher and staff shortages that are out there. The number of students that level 1 certifications from the Department of Education are down 66% over the last 10 years. And you're seeing more and more good teachers in the district right now retiring or wanting to get out early. The combination of those 2 things are going to be a challenge for our district. And I think it's going to take some creative and innovative thought and out of the box thinking to really help solve that. And I don't think the current people on the board are capable of doing that right now.
What is the role of schools in teaching children about racism, sex education, and gender equity?
Yes, that's a great one. My belief is the mission of public schools is to educate children so that they'll be productive and ethical members of our society. And if students graduate with full competency in calculus, that's amazing. But if they don't know how to start or not start a family, then I think public schools have failed. So we need to aim to educate the whole student. And the truth is that our society is rife with bias. And if we fail to educate our students about the history of racism, sexism, and more, then I think we're failing to understand today's world and how to be effective members of our society. Racism and gender inequities obviously exist in our society, so I feel we should be teaching our students about them. And regarding sex education, it's pretty simple for me. Studies have shown that teaching students how to safely have sex or to not have sex has much better outcomes in terms of teenage pregnancies, etc. We know that abstinence-only education isn't really effective. So I think that should be something that is part. It was for me growing up in the school that I went to, and I think that makes sense to do.
Okay, you touched on this a bit, but what effect do you believe school board policies have on teacher morale and teacher shortages? And what, if anything, would you do as a school board director to improve teacher morale and teacher retention?
Yeah, I did, but I think it's worth noting again, right? I mean, I think school boards can have a pretty profound effect on school culture. When you have a board like we have now that's, I think, actively undermining teachers and librarians' expertise, I think the entire school community is impacted. I mean, there's some pretty vague policies that are being put out there that I think some teachers are afraid and support staff are afraid. And, my wife is a teacher at in the district, and, I've been a big fan of, I was the dork when we were first married. I would try and read her curriculum with her along the way, and so that we would have conversation. But I've watched her curriculum and watched what she's taught and in the past, and I think she's taught some really cool classes where you challenge students in certain ways with certain pieces of media and so forth within rhetoric classes. And it's tough for that type of thing to happen in today's environment with the policies out there and the ambiguities that teachers are seeing right now. I think it's a little concerning for them. So I'd like to really make sure we can get back to, letting teachers teach.
Do you advocate any changes to the curriculum at any level? If so, what changes would you advocate?
Yeah, so I'd advocate for curriculum changes that come organically from teachers and support staff that they're interacting with, specifically teachers who are looking to update curriculum related to the diversified world that we're living in. So, I'd make sure that we're listening to good research and not just the latest trends or ideas that are coming down the pike. I mean, we have some amazing teachers and support staff in this district, and I think that is what makes this district and the school what it is. And I think I've been in business a long time. I think you need to trust the employees that you hire. And I think by empowering and inspiring teachers and support groups to really give that feedback and share what things are working and what isn't working, and listen to them. Listen to your experts and listen to your trusted folks that you have. If they're saying there needs to be change or things need to be worked, I think we need to hear them and look to try and work with them to get that in place.
What 3 things do you want to accomplish if you are elected to the school board?
Yeah, I love this question. When I was at a house party the other day, it was interesting. I got some feedback from one of the people there who said, I'm very impressed with what you want to do. Some people know how to get elected, but then they don't know what they want to do once they're elected. So first thing that I would do is look to try and reward and support innovative and creative teaching and learning in our schools. We have some, I mentioned this, amazing teachers and even students out, here who want to try new things. And, I think some of the policies that we've been putting in place have been stifling that a bit. And we need to remove that. The second thing is to really undo the reckless policies that do stifle that. They're having real material impact on our students and teachers and support staff. They're afraid in some cases to really do what they do best, and that is not good. And then lastly, you know, I mentioned this, you know, I've been in business for a long time, but I would ensure that we have leaders in place that are inspirational, forward thinking, and put the students first. And I don't feel that we have that in place right now, and that needs to change.
Okay. This concludes our interview with Rick Haring, who is running for Region 6 School Director of the Central Bucks School District. Thank you, Rick.
Thanks, Kathy.
Thanks. Voters who are unsure of their school district region can go to www.vote411.org to see only the candidates who will be on their ballot for all of the races in the municipal primary. The election will be on Tuesday, May 16th.